Thank you so much for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, the devastation from the Los Angeles fires could get even worse this week because of the high winds. We're going to show you the destruction that's been done and how CBN's Operation Blessing is helping people hurt by the fires. A possible breakthrough in the talks for a hostage deal in the Middle East, as Israel is also encouraging President-elect Donald Trump to keep up his support for the Jewish state. What is the future of TikTok here in the United States? It's now in the hands of the Supreme Court, and a decision is expected in just a few days. And we're going to take you to the war in Ukraine, where one group is sending reinforcements to strengthen the front lines of the spiritual battle. All those stories and more ahead right now on CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
It's a busy Monday. We're going to begin with the fires devastating areas throughout the Los Angeles area. There have been at least 24 deaths, with more than 12,000 buildings damaged or destroyed. It is one of the worst natural disasters in American history, and high winds this week could make it even worse. Here's CBN's Dale Hurd.
Firefighters in Southern California bracing for conditions to worsen with the return of powerful Santa Ana winds, with gusts up to 70 miles per hour expected today. High winds and flames have already left some of the most expensive neighborhoods in the world looking like a nuclear blast zone. Evacuation orders remain in place for areas devastated by the fires, frustrating many residents anxious to see if anything is left of their homes.
Have you seen the house?
No, they don't let me.
Authorities have suspended police escorts into the hardest hit areas, saying they don't have the resources to meet all the requests, and some neighborhoods are too dangerous to enter.
In driving around some of these areas, they literally look like war zones. It is not safe. We want to get you back into your homes, but we can't allow that until it is safe for you to do so.
There's no power, there's no water, there's broken gas lines, and we have unstable structures.
Governor Gavin Newsom says he will ease building restrictions and permitting requirements to help homeless residents rebuild faster.
It's insanity. Hotels are packed to the gills. Shelters are packed to the gills.
CBN's Operation Blessing is working with the Dream Center and LA's Cathedral Church, serving hundreds of meals and supplying water, relief kits, N95 masks, and solar lamps.
It's been nothing short of miraculous what God has done over the last 48 hours. It started with a text message to what can we do, and ended with a 53-foot truck from Operation Blessing showing up. Churches everywhere coming together to support people, to bless them.
More than 150 volunteers organized and prepped hygiene supplies, food kits, baby formula, cookware, and other goods. In all, more than 1,100 people were served.
I think the work you guys are doing is incredible. This is such a blessing for us, and I know it'll be a blessing for our neighbors.
Operation Blessing is also helping feed first responders.
We see a lot of firefighters, first responders all over the place here, where they get together. We just deliver some lunches for them, some hot and cold meals for them.
The National Weather Service issued red flag warnings for severe fire conditions through Wednesday because of high winds. Nearly 10 million people are on alert for fire conditions. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
If you would like to help Operation Blessing's disaster relief efforts in Los Angeles, simply go online to ob.org to find out how you can donate. I want to turn now to the Middle East. U.S. and Arab mediators made significant progress overnight towards brokering a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war and the release of the scores of hostages held in the Gaza Strip. But no deal has been reached yet. Meanwhile, relatives of hostages held in Gaza appealed to President-elect Donald Trump to continue supporting Israel at a news conference Sunday.
We have an expectation from you as the American president to support the Israeli government to achieve the two goals, to destroy the Hamas and to bring all hostages one time, all of them.
And we expect that in the months to come, the incoming Trump administration will recognize that an enormous contribution that Israel has made already to U.S. national security and stand shoulder to shoulder with us as we secure those interests and our future for generations to come through absolute victory in this war for our national survival.
Some 100 hostages are still being held inside Gaza. Israeli authorities believe at least a third of them were killed in the initial attack or have died in captivity. Here at home, TikTok's future in the United States now rests in the hands of the Supreme Court in what's being called one of the most important cases of the social media age. Justices heard arguments in the case that pits national security against free speech. Senior Washington correspondent Tara Mergener brings us the story now from the Supreme Court.
The justices will decide if TikTok's Chinese ownership poses a credible threat to national security or if the government's actions go too far. The case centers on a recent law requiring ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese parent company, to divest its U.S. operations by January 19th or face a nationwide ban. Justice Brett Kavanaugh asked what would happen if the law isn't blocked.
At least as I understand it, we go dark. Essentially, the platform shuts down.
The Biden administration supports the law and argues it's needed to prevent China from accessing American users' data or manipulating content. TikTok claims it's a violation of the First Amendment. President-elect Donald Trump has requested a delay in enforcing the law until after his inauguration. Chief Justice John Roberts said his main concern is that the parent company is required to cooperate with the Chinese government.
The ultimate company that controls it, ByteDance, was found by Congress, and I quote this, to be subject to Chinese laws that require it to assist or cooperate with the Chinese government's intelligence work.
As to their First Amendment argument, TikTok and its supporters claim the platform is a vital tool for expression and commerce, with 170 million U.S. users. Justice Amy Coney Barrett raised concerns about TikTok's examples of free speech, pointing out that the concern lies in the potential for covert content manipulation.
A lot of your examples talk about, including the Bezos one, the right of an American citizen to repeat what a foreign entity says or say, you know, I'm hitching my wagon to China, I want to say everything China does. Here, the concern is about the covert content manipulation piece of the algorithm. That is something that ByteDance wants to speak, right?
Justice Sonia Sotomayor asked about the data collected by TikTok.
From what I understand from the briefs, not only is it getting your information, it's asking, and most people give it permission, to access your contact list, whether that contact list has permitted them to or not. So they can now have data about all of your contacts and anything you say about them.
As roughly half of Americans use TikTok for entertainment and information, the outcome of this case could have far-reaching implications for how the U.S. handles foreign-owned technology platforms and national security. The justices now face a tight deadline with a ruling expected before January 19th. For now, TikTok's fate remains uncertain. At the Supreme Court, Tara Mergener, CBN News.
Coming up, Christians on the front lines in Ukraine. We're going to bring you a look at how evangelicals are fighting the spiritual battle for the soul of the country. We've got the story for you. It's coming up right after this. After nearly 3 years of war, Ukrainians are losing ground and morale is sinking. Many questions remain about how and when the fighting against Russia might end. Meanwhile, one group is sending in reinforcements to strengthen the front lines of the spiritual battle. John Jessup brings us the story.
Outnumbered and outflanked, Ukraine continues to rely heavily on international support, both on the battlefield.
I've got a broken leg, you realize. I'm good to go.
And across the airwaves, fueling positive public perception.
I'm Mark Hamill here, wishing you a happy new year and urging you to please support Ukraine.
That includes the government-backed United 24 campaign with celebrity endorsements to help fund Ukraine's war effort.
June 20th, 2024, standing by a bombed church.
A much smaller, more targeted effort launched last spring, focused on Americans who could potentially sway a second Trump administration's thinking on Ukraine evangelicals.
I'll leave some out, but Pastor Bandura right here is from Ukraine. He oversees 6,000 churches in that area. And you know what? These guys are on the front line, ministering, chaplain, doing amazing things. These guys, all these people, they're mighty heroes of faith right here.
Slava Ukraine. Today is Ukrainian Independence Day.
Longtime conservative operative Gary Marks leads Defenders of Faith and Religious Freedom in Ukraine. CBN News covered the group last summer when it brought pastors to U.S. churches seeking to raise awareness.
Our trip visiting with Ukrainians, hearing their stories, and taking those into
the tables turned in December when Marks's group took Americans to Ukraine for a first-hand look at the devastation. Our crew documented the trip as representatives from groups like the Heritage Foundation, Focus on the Family, and the America First Policy Institute visited a children's hospital in Kyiv, still rebuilding after a deadly Russian missile strike. They also toured a shelter for rescued Ukrainian children, tragic trophies of war, freed after being abducted by the Russian military.
We call on you as defenders of family values to support our efforts to bring these kids back.
While the group listened to lawmakers express hope for a just and lasting peace, they spent the bulk of their time with Ukraine's faith community. While Ukraine's armed forces have fought Russia's military on the front lines, there's another war being waged. Ukraine's religious communities, which includes evangelicals, is fighting for a spiritual battle for the soul of Ukraine and beyond. Here, Jews, Muslims, and Orthodox and evangelical Christians are working together.
We are very united, especially now during the war. We're standing together because Ukraine is our home.
They are also fighting Russia's attacks on their religious freedom. Ukraine's Council of Churches reported executions of pastors and other religious leaders, along with the destruction of 700 churches. Kelly Curie, a foreign policy expert in the first Trump White House, says accounts like these highlight what's at stake.
I think that we don't talk enough about the evil behind this and the focus of this trip on engaging with other people of faith in Ukraine and hearing from them about what this means to them has really brought that home.
In the past decade or so, Russia has attacked 4 of its neighbors. I think if people had a better understanding of all of that, they'd have a better understanding that this is an aggressive country that's right on the borders of our closest allies and actually threatens our national interests.
Despite these harsh realities, some on the trip found signs of hope.
Wherever you see human need around the world, you don't have to look very far to see Christians rolling up their sleeves and helping the most vulnerable. And that's the case in Ukraine.
For Marks and his Ukrainian counterparts, they compare this good versus evil moment to President Reagan's 1983 Evil Empire speech delivered to the National Association of Evangelicals.
Only through your work and prayers, and those of millions of others, can we hope to survive this perilous century.
He went to the church people who have that moral center and understand righteous indignation and standing up against evil, looking it in the eyes. That's why we know that this is the most powerful voice.
They hope using a similar playbook now will help Ukraine remain the Bible Belt of Eastern Europe, shining as a beacon of light to the world. John Jessup, CBN News, Kyiv, Ukraine.
Still ahead, a leap of faith for Gold Star families. We'll show you how they're celebrating their fallen heroes, thousands of feet in the air. That story's coming up for you right after this. Gold Star families who've lost loved ones in the military struggle with feelings of grief long after their loss. One unique program is helping them to find hope, connection, and healing by taking a literal leap of faith. Brody Carter brings us that story from the skies above Rayford, North Carolina.
I'm here to celebrate my son. 12 years ago, he died by suicide. I really want to do this. I'm a little scared, but I'm dealing with it. Hopefully, I'll be able to release a lot of things that I've been holding to.
For Gold Star families like Shelton Thornton from Louisiana, the pain of losing a child, parent, or a loved one who served our country can seem like an ever-present anchor dragging them down.
Any questions, any thoughts?
My son's right here with me.
That's right.
First Lieutenant David Wright.
You're going to take David flying with us today.
Yeah.
Operation Support Our Troops America, working with the help of the all-veteran group parachute team, taking skydivers 14,000 feet into the sky to help them find strength and courage to take the next step forward.
5,000 feet off the ground, there's a very different view of North Carolina. Now, today is not about the acceleration of a free fall, but today we are celebrating the Gold Star families who've lost loved ones, who are celebrating their heroes. And it's an opportunity to find hope, healing, and a new perspective on life.
Yes, my dad was in the Army, and in ROTC, he did everything that they allowed him to do except for jump out of the plane, so I'm doing this because he couldn't.
We get the incredible opportunity of providing moments of healing for these people. You know, the biggest thing is we've all been through dark periods of our life. God's not done with us. So I get the chance to be part of something so much bigger than life, that we get to be part of helping others heal from certain darkness and difficulties.
Families from as far as California come here to Rayford, North Carolina, in hope of moving forward.
I would say the easiest way to talk about it is that grief is something that you use. You're not possessed by it. We're trying to help set them free from the psychological traps that happen because of emotions like grief that feel like they've taken over our lives, but they really haven't.
Clinical psychologist Dr. Doug McKinley has partnered with Operation Support Our Troops America from the beginning, and he sees the leap of faith as transformational.
It was absolutely amazing. First day of the rest of my life.
Well, it doesn't help with the grief. It actually excites everything, but when we tie it to the message that we're trying to say to get them to let go of their fears, the metaphor is that you can literally physically let go and also psychologically let go.
Thank you for taking good care of us. Absolutely. It was amazing grace.
Deb Rickert started Operation Support Our Troops in 2003 by putting together care packages in her garage. When some of those soldiers didn't return home, she created the Leap of Faith event to support those families.
Having two sons that deployed repeatedly and did come home, you know, we feel, my husband and I feel like we have a debt of gratitude that we have to repay. Our hope with the 3 days that we have with these people is that this is going to change their life. This is going to kind of make them live intentionally, even though this horrible journey has been put upon them.
In addition to free falls, the 3-day retreat offers families help through seminars, professional counseling, and spending time in nature.
You don't like to sing now.
Such as equine therapy at Southern Eighth's Farm in Chesterfield, South Carolina.
Spencer, when he was little, he wrote lots of sayings, and one of the things he wrote was, "Who says you cannot touch the stars?" I just feel that I got a little closer to God by being up there.
Bart and Alexia Collar lost their 21-year-old son Spencer last year in an Osprey crash. He initially survived and went back in an attempt to save the trapped pilots. While he partially unbuckled their restraints, all three tragically lost their lives.
Out of horrible loss, it continues to bear fruit, and we're convinced that Spencer and Evan are just up in heaven, dangling their strings down, just laughing at us, you know, making things happen, because it has not been dull ever since that crash for us.
Those who've experienced this grief understand it's a web that binds them, not just to the past, but to one another. Through shared stories and pain, Gold Star families can transform loss into love and find that even the heaviest burdens can be carried together. Their stories remind us that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's facing it, one leap, one step at a time.
Pay it forward. If you see a soldier, walk up to them, shake their hand, thank you for your service. If you see a person that's non-military, or whether they are or not, say hey to them, because you never know what that person is going through that day. And you could change their lives.
It was absolutely amazing. It was epic. Thank you for that opportunity. My gosh. Thank you. Reporting in Rayford, North Carolina, Brody Carter, CBN News.
Coming up, what was the most popular verse on the YouVersion Bible app in 2024? We're going to bring you the answer when we come back. You're watching CBN News Watch. The popular Bible app YouVersion says it has seen more people engage with the Bible this year than ever before. The app's developers say the most popular verse from 2024 shows people are seeking God's comfort in tumultuous times. And that verse is Philippians 4:6, which reads, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." Well, it is now time for your Monday Motivation, and today I want to leave you with this thought. It's been on my mind much of the day. Your past can push you backwards, paralyze you in the present, or propel you forward. The choice is yours. I encourage you and myself to push past the pain of the past. Today's a great day to start doing that. Better is waiting on the other side. Your future is filled with promise. Well, that will do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. You can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them online. That address is cbnnews.com. Take a moment. Let us know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. We look forward to seeing you right back here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye, and God bless.